There's a difference between living blindly and living wisely. But in today's world, too many women fall into the trap of living foolishly, chasing shallow dreams, unwise behaviors, and unhelpful validation. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes, it hides behind the illusion of confidence, independence, or modern trends. But no matter how it looks on the surface, the core is the same. Choices that weaken the mind, damage self-respect, and distance you from peace. This isn't about being harsh or judgmental. It's about recognizing what leads to a wasted life. A stupid woman isn't someone who lacks potential. She's someone who throws it away day after day by ignoring the simple truths that build strength. And if those truths are missed long enough, the damage becomes hard to reverse. Stoicism doesn't sugarcoat life. It shows you how to face it, own it, and rise above the nonsense. That's exactly what we're doing in this video. We're going to uncover 6 clear signs of a stupid woman. These signs are not based on feelings or passing opinions. They're based on behaviors that clash with logic, self-mastery, and inner discipline. The things that Stoic philosophy is built on. If you spot them in someone else, you'll know what to avoid. And if you spot them in yourself, you'll know what to change. That's where the power is. This video isn't for people who want easy answers. It's for those who are ready to sharpen their thinking, take responsibility, and walk the harder path, the wiser path. So stay with me. Each sign we break down will help you move further from ignorance and closer to control. That's the goal, a life built on reason, not chaos. Because once you learn to see clearly, you won't just dodge foolishness. You'll rise above it. It all starts with one quiet but dangerous habit, needing others to notice you in order to feel like you matter. That's the first real sign of a woman who's lost her direction. After all, it's easy to get caught up in the noise of modern life. Likes, comments, compliments, they feel good, and for a moment they make you think you're doing something right. But what happens when the attention fades? What happens when nobody's looking? That's when the truth shows up. A woman who lives for attention is always chasing something outside herself. And no matter how much she gets, it's never enough. A stupid woman places her value in the hands of other people. She's constantly checking her phone, trying to post the perfect picture, writing captions that sound deep but mean nothing. She overshares her life with strangers and craves reactions from people she doesn't even know. Why? Because she hasn't built anything real inside. She's filling silence with noise, creating drama to stay relevant, pretending to be confident when in reality, she's just afraid of being ignored. Stoicism has a very different message. A wise woman understands that her worth isn't built on attention. It's built on action. It's built on discipline, calm, and the strength to be okay even when nobody's watching. The Stoics taught that the opinions of others are beyond our control, and anything outside our control is not where peace lives. When you live based on the approval of others, you're giving away your freedom. You become a puppet to praise, and every time someone pulls away that praise, you fall apart. But when you build yourself from the inside, everything changes. You no longer need validation because your sense of self is no longer for sale. Your confidence comes from what you know you've earned. Your habits, your mindset, your patience, your honesty. Attention fades, but self-respect doesn't. That's why a Stoic doesn't waste time begging for eyes. They use that time to sharpen their mind, train their spirit, and build something lasting. Think of a woman who spends her evenings scrolling, endlessly, jumping from one platform to another, hoping for a notification that makes her feel seen. Now compare her to another woman, quiet, consistent, not flashy, who spends those same evenings learning, working out, writing down her goals, and reflecting on her behavior. One is draining her energy to impress people who don't matter. The other is investing her energy to become someone she can respect. That's the difference. You have to ask yourself, which one are you becoming? Are you looking outward for signs that you matter? Or are you building your strength where it really counts, on the inside? This isn't about never using social media or avoiding attention completely. It's about understanding the difference between chasing it and attracting it naturally. Real confidence doesn't beg, it doesn't scream, it doesn't perform, it just is. So take a moment. Look at how you spend your time. Are your actions rooted in meaning, or are they a cry for recognition? The woman who needs applause to feel alive will never know peace. But the one who grows quietly, who controls her need to be seen, who focuses on becoming solid rather than looking shiny, that woman becomes unshakable. And in the end, that's the kind of life Stoicism teaches us to build. Steady, clear, and untouchable. And once a woman starts chasing attention, the next trap is never far behind, losing control over herself. It's like giving the steering wheel of your life to your emotions and just hoping things turn out okay. A foolish woman doesn't stop to think. She acts on impulse, driven by moods, cravings, or sudden desires. Whether it's spending money she doesn't have, eating junk because she's bored, or falling into yet another toxic relationship just to feel something. Her decisions are based on feeling, not thinking. And the cost is heavy. She'll say things she doesn't mean, commit to things she can't handle, and blame everyone else when her choices blow up in her face. This kind of woman isn't just unlucky, she's undisciplined. And that lack of self-control slowly destroys everything good in her life. Impulsive spending leaves her stressed and broke. Impulsive eating drains her energy and confidence. Impulsive love pulls her into cycles of pain that repeat again and again. It's chaos, disguised as excitement, but over time, it always leads to regret. Now let's look at what the Stoics taught. They believed in something called apatheia, a calm state where a person isn't ruled by passion or impulse. It doesn't mean having no feelings. It means your feelings don't control you. A wise woman pauses before she acts. She asks, is this helpful? Is this worth it? Will this move me closer to who I want to be? She's not a slave to her emotions. She listens to reason and follows it. Imagine a woman who sees something expensive online. She doesn't need it, but she feels low, so she buys it anyway. For a moment, she feels a rush, then guilt, then stress when her bank balance drops. She repeats this cycle every time she feels down, using spending as a bandage. On the outside, she might look okay, but inside, she's spinning out. Now imagine someone else who sees the same thing but chooses to wait. She knows her future self will thank her for not acting on impulse. That's strength, that's wisdom, that's freedom. Because real freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want in the moment. It comes from doing what's right, even when it's hard. Stoicism isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about being steady. Life will always throw emotions at you, but you get to decide if those emotions steer your choices. A woman who's constantly reacting will never find peace. But a woman who pauses, who reflects, who thinks ahead, she builds a life she won't have to escape from. If you found yourself acting on impulse, whether it's through eating, spending, arguing, or dating without thinking, take this as a moment to stop. You're not weak, you're just untrained. And training begins now. Practice saying no to temporary pleasures in favor of long-term gains. The next time you're about to do something just because it feels good in the moment, pause. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Self-control isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And when you build it, you'll start to notice something powerful. Life gets quieter, cleaner, more peaceful. You stop cleaning up messes you created in a moment of weakness. You start creating space for growth, strength, and calm. And that's when you begin to live wisely. And just like acting without thinking causes chaos, speaking without thinking does the same, maybe even worse. Words once spoken can't be taken back. A foolish woman often talks too much, too fast, and with too little thought. She says whatever crosses her mind, even if it's hurtful, loud, or just plain unnecessary. Whether it's gossip, complaining, oversharing, or giving opinions no one asked for, her mouth moves faster than her mind, and the damage adds up. People stop trusting her. They stop listening. And slowly, without realizing it, she starts losing respect. Stoicism teaches something powerful here. The Stoics believed in logos, the use of reason, especially in speech. They believed that our words should be thoughtful, not automatic. That silence is often better than empty noise. A wise woman doesn't talk to fill space or show off. She speaks with purpose. She listens more than she speaks. And when she does speak, her words carry weight because she's not just reacting, she's thinking. Now think of someone you've met who constantly talks over others, interrupts, brags, or shares private things with strangers. At first, it might seem like confidence, but over time, it feels heavy, even annoying. People pull away. Her words become background noise. Not because she has nothing to say, but because she never stops to ask if it needs to be said. That kind of talk isn't connection, it's distraction. On the other hand, there's a different kind of presence. The kind that listens, the kind that pauses before answering, the kind that says just enough and leaves space for others. That's the kind of presence Stoicism praises, because a quiet mind leads to strong words. And strong words don't need to be loud. Let's be honest. Most problems between people don't come from silence. They come from saying too much, too soon, or too carelessly. A single careless sentence can ruin trust. A moment of gossip can break a friendship. An opinion said too sharply can turn someone against you. That's the danger of loose lips. They cut deeper than we think. So here's a challenge. The next time you feel the urge to speak just to speak, pause. Ask yourself, is this kind? Is it useful? Is it necessary? If it isn't, maybe it's better left unsaid. Silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It shows you don't need attention or approval to feel okay. You're comfortable with your own thoughts. You don't need to dominate the room. You simply know who you are. And when you do speak, people will listen. Not because you're loud, but because your words matter. You've trained your tongue like a warrior trains a sword, with discipline and patience. A foolish woman talks to prove something. A wise woman talks because she has something worth sharing. So start small. Catch yourself when you're about to say something out of habit. Practice waiting. Give people the gift of your attention instead of your opinion. Let your silence be your strength and your words be your legacy. Because what you say tells the world what kind of mind you carry. Make sure it reflects wisdom, not noise. And often the people who talk the most are the ones quickest to point fingers when things go wrong. A foolish woman will rarely say, "This was my fault." Instead, she finds someone else to blame. Her parents, her partner, her friends, her job, or just plain bad luck. Her life becomes a cycle of excuses. When something doesn't go as planned, she's the victim. Always. It's always someone else's decision, someone else's mistake, someone else's problem that messed up her path. But here's the truth. Blaming others might bring short-term comfort, but it blocks long-term growth. The Stoics were very clear about this. The only thing we truly control is ourselves, our thoughts, our reactions, our choices. That's what they called virtue. Not in some moral or religious sense, but in terms of character. A wise woman knows that life will throw challenges at her, sometimes unfair ones. But even then, she owns her response. She doesn't waste time pointing fingers. She reflects, she adjusts, she takes action. Now think about someone who constantly blames others. Maybe she says, "I'm like this because of how I was raised," or "I can't get ahead because nobody helps me," or "he ruined my mood." There's always a story, but never growth. Why? Because as long as you believe someone else is the reason for your misery, you'll never feel the need to change. You stay stuck, you wait for others to fix things, and that wait never ends. On the other hand, there's power in saying, "Yes, that happened, but how I respond is up to me." The small shift, just taking ownership, can transform a life. Suddenly, you're no longer trapped by the past. You're no longer a puppet in someone else's play. You're the one holding the pen, writing your own story, even if it starts messy. Let's say there's a woman who keeps getting into toxic relationships. Each time she blames the guy. He lied. He changed. He played me. And maybe that's true. But if it happens again and again, At some point, the wiser question becomes, why do I keep choosing this? What part am I ignoring? What am I not learning? Without that shift, she'll keep repeating the pattern. She'll stay hurt, she'll stay lost, and she'll keep blaming the world. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you blame yourself for everything. It means you stop giving your power away. It means asking, what can I do differently next time? That's how a Stoic thinks. That's how a wise woman lives. She knows she can't control everything, but she can control herself, her choices, her effort, her attitude. That's where her strength lives. So ask yourself, is there a part of your life where you're avoiding responsibility? Maybe it's your health, your finances, your emotions, your relationships. Maybe you've been saying, it's just the way things are, or they made me feel this way. But what if that's just the easy way out? What if your power is sitting in the very place you've been refusing to look? Start small. Own your part. Even if others are wrong too, focus on your side of the street. Clean that up first. Because real freedom doesn't come from blaming others. It comes from saying, look, this is mine, I'll face it, I'll fix it. That's when life begins to shift. From chaos to control, from excuses to action, from foolishness to wisdom. And often the kind of people we allow around us quietly shape who we become. After blaming others becomes a habit, the next trap is letting those same kinds of people stay in your life. A foolish woman surrounds herself with negativity, friends who gossip, partners who discourage her, circles that celebrate drama but reject discipline. These aren't just harmless companions. Over time, they become a mirror of her own mindset. She doesn't notice it at first, but their influence sinks deep. They clap when she complains, laugh when she puts herself down, and nod when she makes bad choices. It feels like connection, but it's really just a shared prison of low standards. The Stoics were deeply mindful of who they kept close. They believed in the power of influence. A wise person chooses their company like they choose their thoughts, with care. If someone around you brings out the worst in you, then no matter how long you've known them, that connection isn't friendship. It's slow poison. The Stoic way is to walk alongside people who reflect your values, who challenge your weakness, and who push you, quietly, consistently, towards strength. Think about the difference. One woman spends her days with people who complain, blame, lie, and waste time. The other surrounds herself with calm, focused individuals. People who talk about ideas instead of gossip. People who practice self-discipline. People who don't need to shout to feel seen. Over time, their paths go in opposite directions. One toward clarity, the other into confusion. Let's take an example. Picture a woman who's trying to get her life together. Maybe she wants to get healthier, focus on her career, or build better habits. But her closest friend is someone who mocks her every effort. "You've changed," the friend says when she skips a night out. "Live a little." And so, out of guilt or fear of being alone, she gives in. Again and again. Weeks pass. Then, months. She feels stuck, not because she lacks discipline, but because she's constantly pulled back into a mindset she's trying to escape. That's the weight of a toxic circle. They don't just hold you in place, they pull you under. And sometimes we don't leave these people because we're loyal, or scared, or lonely. But the cost of staying too long in the wrong crowd is your own potential. You end up adapting to survive, not growing to thrive. The Stoics would say, be ruthless about your circle, not cruel, just clear. If someone constantly drains your energy, plants doubt, or pulls you away from your path, ask yourself, what am I gaining from this? Is this connection shaping me into who I want to be? Or is it a chain that keeps me small? This isn't about cutting off people cold or judging them. It's about asking, who lifts me? Who challenges me to be honest, brave, disciplined? Who respects my growth even when it's uncomfortable for them? Those are the people worth keeping close. So take a quiet moment. Look at your life. Think about who gets your time, your trust, your energy, and ask, are they helping me become wiser, or are they keeping me stuck in old habits? Choose wisely. Because in the end, we don't just rise or fall based on our own efforts. We rise or fall with the people we walk with. Often, one of the most destructive habits a woman can fall into is the constant cycle of repeating the same mistakes. It's like a never-ending loop that takes you back to the same spot, over and over again, without any progress. A stupid woman keeps making decisions that don't serve her, not because she doesn't know better, but because she refuses to learn from what's already happened. She ignores the lessons hidden in her experiences, convinced that she can somehow find a different outcome by doing the same thing again. And yet, every time the result is the same: a setback, a heartbreak, or a failure that could have been avoided. The Stoics were deeply invested in the idea of self-reflection. They didn't see mistakes as failures. They saw them as opportunities for growth. According to Stoicism, true wisdom doesn't come from avoiding mistakes, but from learning from them. A Stoic understands that every action, whether successful or not, holds a lesson. When they make a mistake, they don't just brush it off or let it slide. They take the time to reflect, to understand what went wrong, and how they can adjust their actions for the future. This is what separates the wise from the foolish. Take someone who consistently enters toxic relationships, for instance. She ignores the red flags, dismisses the warning signs, and continues to date people who aren't good for her. Each breakup is painful, but instead of reflecting on why things went wrong, she simply moves on to the next person, hoping this time will be different. But time and again, she ends up in the same situation, feeling hurt, disrespected, and confused. The problem is, she hasn't taken the time to learn from her past mistakes. If she did, she might realize that her pattern is driven by unresolved emotional needs or poor boundaries. By reflecting on her past choices and actions, she could start to break the cycle and make decisions that support her long-term happiness. This cycle of repeating mistakes is not limited to relationships. It shows up in other areas of life too, like finances, career choices, or even personal habits. Someone who continuously spends beyond their means, for example, might not see the bigger picture of financial instability until it's too late. If they stopped and asked themselves why they made the same mistake again, they might realize it's not just about the money. It's about a deeper issue of self-control or a lack of planning. Without taking responsibility and reflection, these kinds of mistakes keep happening, and they never get the chance to improve. The Stoics would encourage us to reflect on our actions, not just react to life as it comes. They believed that wisdom comes from constant self-improvement. If you make a mistake, don't waste time wallowing in regret. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What lesson can I take away that will help me make better decisions moving forward? A Stoic doesn't dwell on mistakes. They learn from them and adjust their path accordingly. They see their past as a teacher, not a burden. So here's a challenge for you. Take a step back and think about your own life. Think about the mistakes you've made, whether they're big or small. What do you keep repeating? Are you stuck in a cycle of poor choices? And most importantly, what have you learned from these experiences? The wisdom you gain from reflecting on your actions is what will ultimately set you free from repeating the same mistakes over and over. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about using failure as a stepping stone to becoming a wiser, stronger person. Throughout this video, we've explored 6 signs of a stupid woman, habits and behaviors that prevent personal growth and hinder the pursuit of wisdom. From chasing attention and neglecting self-worth to blaming others and repeating the same mistakes, these patterns trap individuals in a cycle of negativity. But what we've learned is that these destructive behaviors don't have to define anyone. By understanding and breaking free from them, we can pave the way for a life full of growth, purpose, and true happiness. Stoicism offers a powerful framework to help overcome these patterns. By focusing on self-discipline, taking accountability for our actions, and committing to continuous self-improvement, Stoicism teaches us to live with intention and wisdom. Instead of reacting to life's challenges impulsively, we can choose to live deliberately, guided by rational thought and self-control. The Stoic way encourages us to reflect on our actions, learn from our mistakes, and build a life that is not dictated by external validation or impulsive desires. Now, it's time for you to take control of your life. You have the power to break free from these harmful habits and embrace the Stoic principles that can help you grow into the best version of yourself. Start practicing self-discipline, take ownership of your actions, and focus on continuous improvement. The road may not always be easy, but with perseverance and wisdom, you can rise above the chaos and live a life full of purpose, clarity, and fulfillment. If you're ready to embark on this journey, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more content on how Stoic teachings can help you transform your life. Let's continue exploring how these ancient principles can provide real answers to the challenges we face today. Remember, it's time to rise above the impulsivity, self-blame, and poor decisions. Start living with purpose, embracing wisdom, and becoming the person you were always meant to be. The choice is yours and it starts now.